Stop that. My name's Erica Moss,
And my name is Raquel Turner.
and we're doing the secret history of the credit card. My name's Erica Moss,
My name is Raquel Turner.
and we're doing the history of the credit card. My name's Erica Moss,
My name is Raquel Turner.
and this is the history of the credit card. The average family in America holds 8 credit cards with an average of $8,000 on each credit card.
Credit card history originally started with the auction of cattle in Seattle, South Dakota, was the #1 location for incoming payments for credit card bills.
The consumers of credit cards were at ease due to the fact that the amount of interest that could be charged for each card was on a restriction on which they could offer.
Problem. If there is a limit on interest rates, then banks are spending money to loan. This leads to usury laws, removes limit, allowing raised interest rates. Example: Citibank used to charge 12% rates since the usury law. They are now charging 20%.
Citibank originally was in New York and moved in 1981 to South Dakota. South Dakota had declared that the rates could be raised, so Citibank moved from New York so that they could make profit on their cards as well.
The Marquette decision. If a bank originates in South Dakota where there is no limit on interest rates and they expand to Florida, they can still charge the same rate no matter what Florida's rates are. This may
I said it earlier, what did I say?
yeah,
Fiat. Yeah.
The Marquette decision. If a bank originates in South Dakota where there is no limit on interest rates, they can expand to Florida and they can still charge the same rate no matter what Florida rates are. This made Seattle, South Dakota the credit card capital of the world. The Marquette decision. If a bank originates in South Dakota where there's no limit on interest rates and they expand to Florida, they can still charge the same interest rate no matter what Florida's interest rates are. This made South Dakota the credit card capital of the world. South Dakota to Delaware. Delaware copies South Dakota laws and becomes the credit card capital of the East.
Credit cards are the most profitable sector of banking. $30 billion in 2003 was pulled in through credit cards, more profitable than Microsoft and McDonald's together. $1.5 trillion were charged in 2003 from Americans using credit cards. Travelers and businessmen value these credit cards greatly.
Deadbeat. Banks pay people who pay their payments on time. No profit is collected from these individuals. Deadbeats are the responsible payers. and then not charge interest rates. For example, Howard Stein is a deadbeat. Did you say Howard Stein? He likes to make purchases with his credit card and then pay it all off. Deadbeat. Banks hate people who pay their payments on time. No profit is collected from these individuals. Deadbeats are responsible payers. For example, Howard Stern is a deadbeat. He makes purchases with his credit card, but continues to pay his bill off on time so he won't be charged any interest rate.
Revolvers are the more common people in America. 90 million Americans pay late when they are paying their credit card bills. This is a profit to the banks. The more people that are late on their payments is the more interest they can charge, which then brings in more money. Revolvers are the irresponsible credit card holders of America.
Dun 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 dun. Bankruptcy. When debt becomes too high, they file this and it clears their previous debt. Job loss, medical issues, and family breakups are top three causes of this. In the last 5 years, 7 million families filed for bankruptcy. The bankruptcy bill was passed, making it harder to erase credit history.
Andrew Carr was an individual that brought attention to the credit card companies that the higher their minimum payment was, the less people would be willing to pay. He suggested the 2% minimum payment change. The lower the minimum payment allows higher limits and will draw more people into borrowing more money. The 0% APR rates draw people in and only stand true when they make payments on time. This in return makes more profit for the banks because they can make a sudden change to raise your APR rates to 29% when you started with an agreement of 0.
Who do they target? College students, middle class families trying to make ends meet and use the credit card to bridge the gap, and people with low scores that will acquire interest.
The FICO score. This determines how much interest is paid. The average is a 720 out of 850, but it does not keep record of your payment history. That's what your credit score is for.
Contract. Universal default rate. You miss payment with BOA and now Discover can up your interest rate, and your standing is too high. A contract law professor can't even comprehend the credit card contract. Smiley versus Citibank. 1999 lists the fee limit, causing fees to go up from $5 to $10, up to $29 to $39. Fee income for credit cards are due to double in revenue. Smiley versus Citibank. In 1999, lists the fee limit, causing the fee to go up from $5 to $10, and then from $29 to $39. Fee income for credit cards are due to double in revenue.
OCC, the Office of Currency. This prevents the jurisdictions of various states not to stand when it comes to consumer protection. They claim it's a problem but won't prevent it. Complaints. The Better Business Bureau gets the most complaints about credit card companies than any other entity. The credit card companies originally refused to put the total time and cost of paying off the minimum, tricking consumers into paying high interest. The credit card will be a forevermore ongoing issue.
Avoiding credit card debt. We gathered this information from NOLO.com. Don't use credit card as a loan. Only charge what you can afford. Have available cash to cover the payments and pay more than minimum payments. Create a spending budget. Most people usually try to use credit cards to spend above their means or out of their means. Avoiding credit card debt. We gather this information from NOLO.com. Don't use a credit card as a loan. Only charge what you can afford, and have available cash to cover the payments. Pay more than the minimum. Create a spending budget. Most people use credit cards to live like they're rich and famous when they're really not.
International credit card handling. We got this from creditcards.com. There's always a good side and a bad side to every situation. Spending internationally raises credit card rates and requires foreign transaction fees. On the plus side, makes spending nationally or worldwide a lot easier, and you don't have to worry about changing over currency as you would with paper. Smiley versus Citibank. We got this from the URL listed above. Barbara Smiley stated that South Dakota law went against the California law where she lived and that the fees were way too high. But it was passed that the fee limit was taken away, and because of the Marquette, she had to follow South Dakota's interest rates and not California's.
The Marquette decision. We got this from Commercial Law International.com. 9-0 decision. Express rates from originating state to state in which the law is being taken. Nationally, the bank obeys interest rates of where the bank is chartered, not where the customer lives.